Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of spirituality. Searching and learning is where the miracle process all begins. That's where it starts, my friend, with learning. With a little hunger for something more. A little curiosity. A little spark that says, maybe I can do better. Maybe I can be better. You see, life doesn't hand out success. It doesn't whisper secrets to the lazy. But it does reward the seeker, the student, the one who wakes up each day and says, teach me something today. Make me wiser today than I was yesterday. Because if you want more, you've got to become more. And if you want to become more, you've got to learn more. I tell people, don't start with a paycheck. Start with a book. Start with a mentor. Start with a journal and a pen. Why? Because the mind is like a factory. Whatever you feed it, that's what it produces. Garbage in, garbage out. But wisdom in. Oh, you get miracles. You get breakthroughs. You get wealth, health, happiness, peace, not overnight, but inevitably. I once said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And I stand by it. Because the schools may stop teaching you after a diploma, but life keeps testing. Life keeps asking, are you still growing? So let me ask you now, are you still learning? Are you still sharpening the saw? Are you feeding your mind every day like you feed your body? Or have you settled? Because the day you stop learning is the day you start decaying. It's the slow death of potential. But the day you decide to learn daily, even a little, that's the day you start a new chapter. A new version of yourself. A future that looks nothing like the past. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to leap. Just learn something today. And then again tomorrow. A page, a quote, a principle. And if you stay with it long enough, it'll transform me. A poor farm boy from Idaho. No money, no special talent. But I got around the right ideas. And those ideas changed everything. So now, I pass them on to you. Because it's your turn. Let's begin the journey. Let's talk about how to educate yourself daily. So you can win in life. Don't just let your life happen. Design it. And one of the first steps to designing a better life is learning something valuable every single day. There's something special about daily learning. Something powerful. Something that builds quietly, silently, but relentlessly. It's like planting seeds in the soil of your mind. Watering them every day. At first, nothing, just dirt. But weeks, months, years later, a forest. Let me tell you, friends, consistency beats intensity. And when it comes to learning, the daily habit, not the occasional burst, is what transforms your thinking. You don't need 10 hours in one day. You need 10 minutes every day. And if you do that, over time you'll separate yourself from 95% of the world. Because the masses, they wake up and scroll. They entertain themselves to death. But the winners, they wake up and grow. They reflect. They renew their minds daily. Miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss a book. That's how I did it. That's how I went from broke and embarrassed to wealthy and influential. I didn't do it in a weekend. I didn't do it by magic. I did it with a journal, a pen, and a hunger to learn. My mentor, Miss Schaff, once told me, Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. And if you want to change, you've got to learn. Every single day, I took that to heart. And I hope you will too. Because here's the truth, you don't become successful. You become deserving of success. And how do you become deserving? By preparing, by growing, by learning what most people ignore. Learn about money, how to earn it, keep it, multiply it. Learn about people, how to lead them, inspire them, serve them. Learn about yourself, your habits, your strengths, your blind spots. Every day, study a little more. Every day, get a little wiser. Not just smarter, wiser. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. That's what learning does. It helps you become. Let me give you an image. Imagine a man standing in front of a fireplace. And he says, give me heat and then I'll put in the wood. You and I both know That's not how it works. Life is the same. You don't get rewards first. You pay the price first. And one of the prices you pay is the discipline of learning. Daily learning sharpens your vision. It tunes your thinking. It helps you spot opportunities others miss. It builds the foundation for success that lasts. Because you don't just want success. You want sustainable success. The kind that doesn't crumble when the economy shifts. The kind that's built on principles, not luck. And those principles, you'll find them in books, in conversations with mentors, in notes you take from life itself. The question is, are you paying attention? Because life is always teaching. But not everyone is learning. If someone is going down the wrong road, he doesn't need motivation to speed him up. He needs education to turn him around. That's what learning does. It doesn't just speed you up. It corrects your course. You could be working hard, but in the wrong direction. You could be committed, but to the wrong habits. And one good idea, just one up, can change your entire path. So I challenge you, make daily learning non-negotiable. Start simple. Read 10 pages a day. Listen to 15 minutes of audio. Write one insight in your journal. Do that for a week, and you'll feel different. Do it for a month, and you'll think different. Do it for a year, and you'll be different. Don't let the day end without feeding your mind. Don't go to sleep without growing just a little bit, because every day you learn, you win. Not just someday, but today. So I say, gang, learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of spirituality. If you want to begin your journey to a better life, begin by learning something valuably every single day. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Now let me pause there, because that line right there, that's not just a clever quote. That's a life principle. You see, I went the formal route, 12 years of school, a diploma, and I was still broke at 25. I had pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank. Now don't get me wrong. Formal education is important. It teaches you how to read, write, calculate. It opens doors, gives you structure, but it has one major flaw: it ends. And life never stops testing, never stops demanding more of you. So if your education stopped at graduation, you're already behind. That's where self-education comes in. That's the real game changer. That's the edge the successful build. Quietly, behind the scenes. Self-education is when you decide to keep learning. Not because a teacher said so. Not because there's a test on Friday. But because your future depends on it. The book you don't read won't help you. Simple, but profound. Because the people who win in life, they don't just read what's assigned. They read what matters. They study what builds them. They seek out mentors. They listen to audios in the car instead of wasting time with noise. They know the best investment is not the stock market. It's the one you make in yourself. You don't have to go back to school, but you do have to go back to learning. Self-education is freedom. It lets you go at your own pace. It lets you focus on what matters to you. If you want to learn sales, there's a book for that. If you want to learn leadership, someone's teaching it. If you want to build wealth, the wisdom is out there. But here's the catch, and you've got to go find it. You've got to search. You've got to dig. Because the best treasure is always buried. That's what makes it valuable. Let me tell you something that changed my life. I started reading one book a month. Then one a week. Then I started journaling. Taking notes, asking questions, listening with intention. That's when things began to shift. I started seeing patterns. I started understanding people. I started making better decisions. And here's the beauty: no tuition fee, no classroom, discipline, hunger, and a commitment to never stop growing. Most people graduate up and stop. The winners, they never graduate. They just keep learning. Because life keeps changing. And if you're not growing, you're falling behind. If you want to be wealthy and happy, learn this lesson well. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And now, why is that so important? Because your job may pay the bills, But your personal growth builds the life. Your income rarely exceeds your personal development. Want to earn more, become more, want to lead more, learn more, want to influence, impact, inspire, then grow daily. Self-education turns you into a person of value. And the marketplace pays for value. You don't get paid for time. You get paid for the value you bring to time. And that value, it comes from what you know, how you think, what you understand. So here's the challenge I give you: make self-education a priority. Every week, read something that stretches your thinking. Every day, listen to someone wiser than you. Every month, reflect on what you've learned and apply it. Because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. And if you'll do this, if you'll commit to educating yourself long after the diplomas are done, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't just make a living. You'll make a fortune, not just in money, but in wisdom, in peace of mind, in legacy, in self-respect. So remember, a formal education may open the door, but self-education determines how far you walk through it. Make self-education your daily discipline. Feed your mind like you feed your body. Because the better you become, the better everything around you becomes. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. There's a word I want you to remember. A powerful word. A word that holds the secret to wealth, wisdom, health, influence, and legacy. That word is compound. You see, life rewards the consistent, not the occasional, not the once in a while, but the steady. And learning works the same way. It compounds. It grows over time, quietly, silently, but always faithfully. Let me give you a simple example. If you read just 10 pages a day in 1 year, that's 650 pages. That's 15 to 20 full-length books. That's enough knowledge to change your mindset, your finances, your habits, your entire life. But most people don't do that. Why? Because it's not dramatic. It's not flashy. It's slow. And we live in a world addicted to instant. But here's the true thing. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And the discipline of daily learning. That's the bridge to long-term transformation. Let me tell you how it worked in my own life. I didn't suddenly wake up wealthy. I didn't stumble into success. I grew into it, day by day, idea by idea, lesson by lesson. I remember when I first started reading seriously, just a few pages before bed. Some mornings a short audio, I'd highlight a quote, I'd jot down a thought. Didn't feel like much, but something was happening. Inside, my thinking began to shift. I started seeing the world differently, people differently, myself differently, and slowly, the outside began to match the inside. That's the power of compounding. Success is nothing more than a few disciplines practiced every day. But the opposite is true too, my friends. Failure. It's not one big mistake. It's a few small errors repeated every day. You skip the book today. You scroll instead of learning. You let one day go big, then another, then a week, then a year. And before you know it, you're the same person you were a decade ago, same thoughts, same income, same problems. Don't let that happen to you. Start today and trust the process. Because compound growth is invisible before it's undeniable. You may not notice a change after one book, or one podcast, or 1 hour of study. But stay with it. Because every new idea you absorb is like adding another brick to your foundation. And eventually, you'll have a cathedral of wisdom built inside you. People will say, "How did you become so sharp, so wise?" And you'll smile because you know it wasn't magic. It was compound effort. Let me remind you, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And that's what learning does. It changes your direction. And if you hold the course long enough, it changes your destination. Here's a thought. If you'll just learn one new thing every day, just one, in 5 years, you'll be a completely different person, not just smarter, wiser, not just informed, transformed. Because the person who studies personal development, finances, communication, health, leadership every day, they become a person of influence. And you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be committed to the compound effect of learning. That's what separates the successful from the spectators. So let me ask Yug, what's compounding in your life right now? Is it wisdom? Or is it distraction grass? Or is it procrastination? Is it purpose? Or is it entertainment? Because everything you do compounds. So choose wisely. Read the books, listen to the thinkers, ask questions, journal your insights, reflect on your day. Each action may seem small, but over time, it becomes extraordinary. So remember, success is neither magical nor mysterious. It is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. And one of those fundamentals, one of the most powerful ones, is learning. Every single day, because knowledge compounds. And when it does, you win. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Now that's the key. You see, learning is where it begins. But action, that's where the miracle happens. Knowledge alone doesn't change your life. If it did, every library card would be a ticket to wealth. Every seminar would produce a millionaire. But it doesn't work that way. You've got to act. You've got to turn what you know into what you do. That's the real measure of wisdom. If you know, but you don't do, you don't know. Think about that. If you've read 100 books on health, but you don't exercise it, what good is the knowledge? If you've studied wealth creation, but you don't save, invest, or build it, what's the use? If you've memorized quotes about discipline, but still procrastinate every day, that's not power. That's paralysis. We are drowning in information, but starving for transformation. And transformation only comes when you apply what you learn. Let me share a personal moment. Early on, I was learning everything I could, reading the books, attending the seminars, taking notes, but I wasn't doing anything with it. I was inspired but not active. I was informed but not transformed. And then someone said something that hit me like a brick. Jim, you don't get paid for what you know. You get paid for what you do with what you know. That changed everything. I realized I had been collecting wisdom like souvenirs. Nice to look at, but never used. So I made a new commitment. Every time I read something, I'd find one idea to act on. Every lesson, I'd ask, how can I use this today? Because the value is in the application. The power is in the doing. Let me say it again, don't just learn, do. Knowledge builds confidence, but action builds results. It's not enough to study communication. You've got to speak up. It's not enough to learn about time management. You've got to start prioritizing. It's not enough to understand goal setting. You've got to write them down, review them, pursue them. Action is the test. If your life isn't changing, it's not because you're not learning, it's because you're not applying. Now, I get it. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's perfectionism. We think, let me learn one more thing, then I'll act. But that's the trap. You don't need more information. You need more implementation. Start with what you have. Use what you know. Take that first step. Because once you do, momentum kicks in. Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. And discipline is born in action. Not in theory. Not in thought. But in motion. Let me give you a simple principle that changed my productivity. Learn a little. Apply a little. Reflect a lot. Keep growing. Apply a little. Build progress. Reflect a lot. Build wisdom. That's the rhythm of transformation. And here's the secreting: when you act, even in small ways, you reinforce belief. You build self-trust. You tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who follows through. And when you do that over and over again, you become unstoppable. So let's make it practical. Read one chapter. Apply one insight. Listen to a podcast. Take one action that day. Attend a seminar. Make a plan that same week. Don't let inspiration fade into the background. Don't let motivation become a memory. Turn it into movement. Because the bridge between dreams and reality is built with planks of action. One step at a time. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. And if you'll do that daily, You won't just become knowledgeably, you'll become powerful. Because applied knowledge is wisdom, and wisdom, acted upon, creates results. Life does not respond to what we know. Life responds to what we do. Asag, what have you learned today? And what will you do with it? That's the real question. Don't just learn. Live it. Use it. Act on it. Because the best education in the world means enough you never stand up and say, I'm ready. Everything you touch, everything you influence, should bear the mark of your learning. You see, there comes a time when the purpose of learning moves beyond you. At first, we learn to survive. Then we learn to succeed. But eventually, we must learn to contribute. Because if all your knowledge stays with you, if all your growth ends with your own success, then you've missed the highest purpose of learning. The ultimate goal is this: to build a legacy of learning, a legacy of sharing what you've learned, a legacy of growth that outlives you. Let me tell you something important. We are most valuable not for what we know, but for what we teach. And not with lectures, but with example, with your words, your actions, your habits, your decisions. People are watching you, your children, your friends, your coworkers, even strangers, quietly observing how you live. And when they see you reading a book instead of watching noise, when they see you reflecting, instead of reacting, when they see you learning and applying, that becomes your true influence. That's how you lead. Now, let me ask you, what do you want to be remembered for? The car you drove, the house you lived in, or the wisdom you passed on? When you live a life dedicated to growth, when you make learning a daily practice, and action your daily response, you become the kind of person who inspires growth in others. That's the ripple effect. When you grow, everything around you grows. Your conversations deepen. Your relationships strengthen. Your influence multiplies. But here's the catch. You can't pass on what you don't possess. You can't teach what you haven't practiced. You can't lead others where you haven't gone yourself. So build yourself, daily, slowly, intentionally. And once you've built yourself, build others. Don't keep your wisdom in a drawer. Don't lock your insights in a journal. Speak them. Live them. Give them away. Every time you share what you've learned, you plant seeds. Seeds that will grow in people you may never meet again. And that's a legacy worth leaving. Let me give you a personal truth. I've been fortunate to teach thousands, but it all started with me. Learning from one mentor, one book, one idea, I took it seriously. I applied it daily. And then I passed it on. And now, decades later, those ideas are still moving, still shaping lives, still inspiring people I've never met. Why? Because once you commit to learning and sharing, your life becomes a message. So I encourage you, don't just build a bank account, build wisdom. Don't just chase success, chase understanding. Don't just grow for you, grow to give. Be the one in your family who changes the conversation. Be the friend who brings ideas, not gossip. Be the leader who teaches with grace, not ego. And remember this, success is what you attract by the person you become. So become the kind of person others want to learn from. Others want to follow. Others remember long after you're gone. That's how you build a legacy of learning. And you can start today. Pick up the book. Watch the lesson. Reflect on what you've learned. Share the idea with one person. Just one. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more wisdom. And it starts with you. Live a life that matters. Leave a legacy of learning. And let every day be your classroom. Because if you keep learning, and you keep acting, and you giving, and you won't just win in life, you'll help others win too. And that, my friend, is the real victory. Let me leave you with this. If someone hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire real quick. So you get to keep the money. That's why we grow. That's why we learn. Because success is something you attract by the person you become. You see, the knowledge alone won't change your life. Books alone won't pay the bills. Ideas alone won't build your future. but knowledge put into practice, that changes everything. So I challenge you now, don't let today's lesson stay in your notebook. Don't let these ideas fade when the screen goes dark. Instead, make learning a part of who you are. Read a few pages each day. Reflect each night. Share what you learn with others. Take action, even if it's small, because when you learn, you grow, and when you grow, you win. In health, in wealth, in relationships, in purpose. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change, and that change begins with you. So go now. Get a notebook, pick up the book you've been avoiding, watch that seminar. Ask that question. Take that step, and do it someday. Today. Because the miracle process begins with learning. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. Surround yourself with learners. Become a student of life. And soon, you'll find that life becomes your greatest teacher. Until next time, keep learning. Keep growing. And above all, don't just wish for success. Become the kind of person who earns it.